Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, chapter 10, text 21. We have been hearing how Mahārāja Rahūgaṇa, now he is repentant of his harsh words to Jaḍa, then he wants to hear transcendental knowledge from Jaḍa. Drishta shamakarmata atmano vai
Drishta shamakarmato atmano bhavyo
Bhartur gantur bhavataschanyamanye
bhartur gantu bhavata cha anumanye
Yatha satodanyanadyabhava
yatha asato udanayan adavavat
Samula ishto vyavharamargaha.
samud ishto vyavahar marga.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. You have said, I am not fatigued from labor. Although the soul is different from the body, there is fatigue because of bodily labor, and it appears to be the fatigue of the soul. When you are carrying the palanquin, there is certainly labor for the soul. This is my conjuncture. You have also said that the external behavior exhibited between the master and the servant is not factual, but although in the phenomenal world it is not factual, the products of the phenomenal world can actually affect things. That is visible and experienced. As such, even though material activities are impermanent, they cannot be said to be untrue. This is a discussion on impersonal Mayavad philosophy and the practical philosophy of Vaishnavas. The Mayavad philosophy explains this phenomenal world to be false, but Vaishnava philosophers do not agree. They know that the phenomenal world is a temporary manifestation, but it is not false. A dream that we see at night is certainly false, but a horrible dream certainly affects the person seeing it. The soul's fatigue is not factual, but as long as one is immersed in the illusory bodily conception, one is affected by such false dreams. So, someone may say that this world is false. The jag is what's that? Brahman Satyam Jagan Mithya. Only Brahman is real and this material world is false. But the devotees, the Vaishnavas, they explain that this material world is also coming from the divine. It's coming from the Lord. Supreme Lord has created. So it's certainly not false. Yes, the manifestation of this world is temporary. Sometimes it's manifest, sometimes not. And what is false is our identification that we are thinking we are the body. That is false. But we are very much inside the body. So, what we are understanding is that although the soul is inside the body and the soul is not doing anything, but certainly there's fatigue with the identification of the body. Although the soul is not doing, but still the soul feels the tiredness. A water pot is made of earth and is temporary. Actually, there's no water pot, there is simply earth. However, as long as the water pot can contain water, we can use it in that way. It cannot be said to be absolutely false. So the water pot is coming from the earth. The earth is fashioned in such a way so that it can hold the water. Because if we just pour water on the earth, on the soil, it will run away. The water won't be able to collect. So if we want to collect water, we have to shape the earth in a way of the pot so that we can collect the water. But of course, the clay is also coming from the earth. So the earth is also real, the water pot is also real. That's what we are trying to understand, that this material world is not false, it's temporary. Our thinking that we are the body, that conception is wrong. Moving on. Sthali agni tapatpasya bhitapas.
Sthali
Agni tapasya abhitapas
Tatapatastandulagarbarandihi.
Tattapatastandulagarbarandihi
Dehendriya swashaya sankikarsha.
Dehe indriya swashaya samkrikasha
Tatsam smriti purushasya nurodhat.
Tatsamsriti purushasya anurodhat.
King Rahūgaṇa continued, "My dear sir, you have said that designations like bodily fatness and thinness are not characteristics of the soul. That is incorrect, because designations like pain and pleasure are certainly felt by the soul. You may put a pot of milk and rice within fire, and the milk and rice are automatically heated one after the other. Similarly, due to bodily pains and pleasures, the senses, mind, and soul are affected. The soul cannot be completely detached from this conditioning." This argument put forward by Mahārāja Rahūgaṇa is correct from the practical point of view, but it arises from an attachment to the bodily conception. It can be said that a person sitting in his car is certainly different from his car, but if there is damage to the car, the owner of the car, being overly attached to the car, feels pain. Actually, the damage done to the car has nothing to do with the car's proprietor. But because the proprietor has identified himself with the interest of the car, he feels pleasure and pain connected with it. So Mahārāja Rahūgaṇa is saying, so the soul, because the soul is in the body and the soul is attached to the body, to the mind, so the pleasure and pain of the body is also affecting the soul. To explain this point, Prabhupada is explaining, we are sitting in the car, we are driving the car. Somebody bangs the car. We'll say, hey, you banged me. Because of our identification, we are identifying ourselves with the car. We say it's mine. So somebody bangs the car, actually, we get so upset, so angry. Oh, you banged me. How could you do that? So because of the attachment. This conditional state can be avoided if attachment is withdrawn from the car. Then the proprietor would not feel pleasure or pain if the car is damaged or whatever. So attachment, because we get attached to our possession, we got attached to the car, so we get upset. But similarly, if we are not attached to it, then we can be of steady mind. Our mind will not be disturbed even if someone comes and hits the car. Similarly, the soul has nothing to do with the body and the senses, but due to ignorance, he identifies himself with the body and he feels pleasure and pain due to bodily pleasure and pain. So, with the body, we suffer so many diseases of the body and mind. And because we, the soul, are identifying ourselves with the body, so we feel the pleasure and the pain with the mind, because with this mind, with this false ego, we are thinking we are the body. So we get affected. But actually, we can try to understand that, oh, this is not me. It is separate. The soul is separate. I am separate, and the body is separate. The mind is separate than me. If we are able to understand it, then we will not be affected by the pleasure and pain of the body. Sounds easy, but it's difficult, no? Because the attachment, the identification is so strong. As Bharat Maharaj, he didn't take it personally. Maharaj Rahūgaṇa was telling him sarcastically so many things, but he just spoke logically, he gave knowledge, and he's ready to again pick up the palanquin and start walking. Because he's understood that he's not the body, he's the soul. So the insults he said is not for me, it's for the body. So he didn't take it personally.
Hare Krishna.
So there's Hare Krishna.
So our emotions affect the soul, is it?
Yeah, because we are emotionally attached. We are attached. The soul is thinking I'm the body. We are identifying, with the body.
Yeah, I feel we keep forgetting. That's what I think. That
Yes,
we
that's
are
right.
not
We
this
keep
body.
forgetting.
Yeah.
We keep forgetting. Because we have been in the body since many, many millions and millions of years. Of course, we keep changing our gross body, but the subtle body is the same, no? The mind, intelligence, and false ego.
Yes.
We don't give that up, And all these desires and all these samskars are all stored in the mind. So with the agency of the mind, we are being so attached to the body and feeling happy and feeling sad. So if we can just try to understand this, it will make things a lot simpler, no?
Mm.
Oh, that I'm not this body, I'm separate, I'm the soul. The false ego is making us.
We know it, but it just it just gets out our mind. I don't know, with me, this is what is happening. Like, I know I'm not this body, I know I'm not this body, but when we're doing things of like suddenly, then you say, oh my gosh, like so much I was doing for my body.
Yeah, it's true.
Actually, not only that, but I think we are conditioned in that way. Like, just an example that when small children are taught and they are watching a game, they are siding that, oh, I'm Indian, I'm supporting the India team. Oh, I'm, British, I'm supporting the England team. So we are taught in that way, we are raised in that way. Even that's why, because we are taught to identify ourselves.
That I and mine, right?
Because I am Indian. That's why I'm supporting the India team. I feel happy when they are playing good, and I feel sad when they are not playing good. So this is such a small thing. This has nothing to do with me, but I'm trained in that way from the very beginning of my life. I'm trained in that way. I feel
It's
good
true.
when
Then again, it comes to the point where Prabhupada keeps saying that we don't have this education. There is not this, we are not given the
yes,
education of the
yes,
soul.
yeah,
It's true, no?
absolutely. Yeah,
From the
absolutely. We are not.
beginning of life. Mhm.
Yeah. If the kids are given that and they are taught that, doesn't matter, just enjoy the game, you don't have to side with any country or anything, but that's too high a standard. I mean, it's, people don't understand.
Because every country is playing, right, against
Yeah,
each other. That's the thing.
because we have created the world like that.
Mm.
We like that type of world.
So, but then now what to do? Now we are hearing that how Bharat Maharaj, it was so nice. Like somebody tells us all these things, we may start fighting, we may start, I don't know what we may do,
Yeah.
But Bharat Maharaj is keeping his cool,
Mm.
Jar Bharat. He's giving, in fact, good knowledge to Maharaj Rahūgaṇa, speaking logically. He's not affected
Mm.
by what's happening,
Mm.
because he has this transcendental knowledge, because of his devotional service. He has realized the knowledge. So we can keep reminding, as Sneha is saying, we forget, we know, but we forget. So we can keep reminding ourselves. And yeah.
True, this education should be taught in schools from beginning. How nice it would be, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. See, if it's just in the school together with our ABC, we are taught knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, then it'll help us to make better choices, no?
Definitely.
Live life more peacefully. This is what Prabhupada keeps saying in his writings, that there is no systemized education of Bhagavad Gita. And it's important.
And it is not that the Gurukuls are there. Now also the Gurukuls are there. The few of them are there. I think one started by Prabhupada only. Few of them are there.
Yeah, few are there. Prabhupada has
Few are there.
started, few.
Yeah.
Gone.
But
So
very few people are there now in this.
No. They are very, very good positioned. The education standard is quite high there. All the teachers are from, because the English people are only the teachers there. They have very high standard there. Because I
No,
have
but then
seen
there are few kids, right? Few
no,
only who join, or
no,
there are quite a few.
no, there are quite a few. And the good ones, they have come out now, the two brothers of Dwarka ESCON president, two kids are there and they are doing pretty well. They have studied from there. So it is a quite high standard. That's what I'm trying to tell, that it is not that, kids are not there or the education level it is quite high. The standard is quite high. But we don't have that courage. I'm saying that about myself, that we don't have that courage to put our kids there. But the standard is perfect there, and the all education is given. It is not that they are not taught that how the planets are placed. They are taught both the education. Because in one of his interviews, he mentioned all that it is not that we are lacking somewhere in the material knowledge. No, we are not. We were given the proper material knowledge, like how this is, the science was taught to us, everything was taught to us, but we had to follow, like waking up early in the morning, then doing our rounds, and um, Bhagavatam class, and everything was included in our schedule. So the standard is quite high.
But how many people will enroll in this?
That's what we have to ask ourselves. Why do we have to worry about other
How
things? We
many
have to worry
kids? Yeah.
But there are so many. There are many kids there now. Many kids. Many.
Okay. So going on there. Shashta Bhigopta Nripati Prajanam
Shasta Abhigopta Nripati Prajanam
Yaking Karovana Pinashti Pishtam
Yakin karo vena vinashti
Swadharma Maradhanam Achyutasya
Swadharmam Aradhanam Achyutasya
Yad Iha Mano Vijahati Aghaugam
Yat iha mana
mano
vijhati
vijahati
agam.
agam.
I guess so. You have said that the relationship between the king and the subject, or between the master and the servant, are not eternal. But although such relationships are temporary, when a person takes the position of a king, his duty is to rule the citizens and punish those who are disobedient to the laws. By punishing them, he teaches the citizens to obey the laws of the state. Again, you have said that punishing a person who is deaf and dumb is like chewing the chewed or grinding the pulp. That is to say, there is no benefit in it. However, if one is engaged in his own occupational duty, as ordered by the Supreme Lord, his sinful activities are certainly diminished. Therefore, if one is engaged in his occupational duty, by force he benefits because he can vanquish all his sinful activities in that way. This argument is offered by Mahārāja Rahūgaṇa as certainly very effective. In his Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 1.2.4, Srila Rupa Goswami says, Tasmat kenapi upayena mana Krishna nishe niveshayet. Somehow or other, one should engage in Krishna consciousness. Somehow or other. We may not want to, but we still do it. Actually, every living being is an eternal servant of Krishna. But due to forgetfulness, a living entity engages himself as an eternal servant of Maya. Here, Sneha, that's what you said, right? Forgetfulness. We forget. So that's what it is. We are forgetting. So we are forgetting that Jivera Swarubhai Krishna Nityadas. That's what Lord Chaitanya is saying. That's what Krishna is saying. Surrender unto me. That's what all the Vedas are saying. But what happens? We say, no, I don't want to serve Krishna. I want to serve Maya. That's what we are doing. We are serving Maya. As long as one is engaged in Maya service, he cannot be happy. No, we do have some happiness. That's why we continue to do so. But it does not satisfy the self completely. We still feel something is missing. It was good, but maybe this would have been, if this was changed, it would be better. It doesn't completely satisfy us. Our Krishna consciousness movement aims at engaging people in Lord Krishna's service. That will help them become freed from all material contamination and sinful activity. So what happens is when we are engaging in devotional service, so at least for that time we are not doing anything sinful. At least that time we are getting purified. We are advancing spiritually, our consciousness is being cleaned, and we are not doing anything sinful. So it works both ways. Helps us to stop doing sins and helps us to advance spiritually. So double benefit of engaging in devotional service. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 4.10, Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha. By becoming detached from material activities, we will be freed from fear and anger. By becoming detached from material activities, we will be freed from fear and anger. So the reason we are fearful and angry is because we are attached to the body. We are attached to our me and mine. And we are thinking all these activities are in connection to me and mine. That's what creates fear and anger. By austerity, one becomes purified and eligible to return home back to Godhead. So what are the two things? What happens when we engage in devotional service?
When we engage in devotional service, the material
Yeah, I've
contamination,
highlighted it.
we get free from the material contamination,
Yeah,
sinful activities.
yeah. And what are the things by austerity? What's Prabhupada saying? What are the two things?
We become purified and
Yeah.
we become eligible to go back to Godhead.
Got it. Yes. So by engaging in devotional service, we are getting purified, free from material contamination, means purified. We stop sinful activity and we become eligible to return home back to Godhead. This is what's happening when we engage in devotional service.
And by becoming detached, we are we are free from fear and anger.
Anger. Yeah. Thank you.
This is so important also, yes.
So
It
see,
needs
that means by engaging in devotional service, so by we engage in devotional service, automatically we will get detached from material activity, right? Because at that time we are doing devotional service. So that will help us give up our fear and anger, right? Because when we are engaging in devotional service, it's purifying us, it's stopping us to do sinful activity. So it's helping us to get free from fear and anger. It's purifying us, and we are eligible to return home back to God. So all
so
these
becoming
benefits are there.
meaning means like we know that we are not this body, is it? Like
Yeah.
detached
So,
body,
yeah,
bodily conception.
that's right.
Yeah.
So that means
Is it
when we are engaging in devotional service, it helps us to get free from fear and anger. Because gradually, it helps us detach from this bodily conception. So if we at all want to get free from fear and anger, we have to engage in devotional service.
we also say, Shilpaji, that with bhakti comes gyan and vairagya automatically.
Yes,
So
yes,
the detachment and knowledge already comes, and then with bhakti it comes, right? They are the two sons of
yes.
bhakti, and then you definitely become fearful, and all your
No,
sins are gone,
fearless,
and yeah, you
fearless,
become
not
fearless.
fearful.
Sorry, you become fearless, and you
Yeah,
also become no anger is also not there, and you become fearless, and then you become sinless. All your sins are
yes,
purified. Slowly you become purified by understanding that, and then you're
yes,
eligible to go back to Godhead. So bhakti is
yes,
major thing.
yeah. That's what we are trying to understand here. Because Krishna is saying give up fear and anger and attachment. He's saying give up. So how? As you rightly said, engage in bhakti. Then that will help us give up all these things. Okay. So the duty of the king is to rule his citizens in such a way that they can become Krishna conscious. This would be very beneficial for everyone. Unfortunately, the king or president engages people in sense gratification instead of the Lord's service, and such activities are certainly not beneficial for everyone. So we are living, and such activities are certainly not beneficial for everyone. That's what we were just speaking about, that there is no proper education of the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. King Rahūgaṇa tried to engage Bharata in carrying the palanquin, which is a form of sense gratification for the king. However, if one is engaged as a palanquin carrier in the Lord's service, that is certainly beneficial. In this godless civilization, if a president engages people somehow or other in devotional service or the awakening of Krishna consciousness, he renders the very best service to the citizens. So, the leader of the society, as we are seeing all the kings of Vedic times, they were making sure that everyone engages in devotional service so that everybody can benefit and go back home, back to Godhead. Can give up material attachment, not be fearful, not be angry, can stop doing sinful activity, can get purified of all the sins, and then be eligible to go back home, back to Godhead. Tanme bhavanara deva bhimana
Tatte bhavanardevabhimana
madena tuche krita satamasya
madena tuchikrit satyatam sat.
Vishishtamatre drisham arthabandhu
कृच्छ्रिष्टमैत्री दृशमार्थ
यथा करे सद अवध्यानम अम्हः
अथा करे सद अवध्यमाम अम्ह.
Whatever you have spoken appears to me to be contradictory. O best friend of the distressed, I have committed a great offense by insulting you. I was puffed up with false prestige due to possessing the body of a king. For this, I have certainly become an offender. Therefore, I pray that you kindly glance at me with your causeless mercy. If you do so, I can be relieved from sinful activities brought about by insulting you. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said that by offending a Vaishnava, one finishes all his spiritual activities. Offending a Vaishnava is considered the mad elephant offense. Hati mata. Hati mata. Right? A mad elephant can destroy an entire garden which has been developed with great labor. One may attain the topmost platform of devotional service, but somehow or other, if he offends a Vaishnava, the whole structure collapses. Unconsciously, King Rahūgaṇa offended Jaḍa, but due to his good sense, he asked to be excused. This is the process by which one can be relieved from a Vaishnava aparadh. So just ask forgiveness. If you offend someone, just simply apologize. Krishna is always very simple and by nature merciful. When one commits an offense at the feet of a Vaishnava, one must immediately apologize to such a personality so that his spiritual advancement may not be hampered. Krishna is always very simple and by nature merciful. Yeah, Krishna is very merciful, no? He's very compassionate, and that's the reason he keeps giving us more and more chances. And he's compassionate this month, this most auspicious month of Kartik, little bit service we do, Krishna freely gives himself to the devotee. So he's very merciful. He's looking at ways to give us his mercy. We may say, no, it's okay, I don't want Krishna, I don't want. But Krishna is willing to give. Now, Vikriya Vishwa Surit Sakhasya
न विक्रियावेशसुरसखस्य
Samyena Vita Bhimate Stavapi
साम्येन वीता अभिमते तव अभिमतः
Mahad Vimana Svakrita Madrim
महद्विमानात् स्वपिताधिमात्रे
Nangshyati Adurad Apishu Shula Pani
नद्यति अधुरात् अपि शूलपाणि.
My dear Lord, you are the friend of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the friend of all living entities. You are therefore equal to everyone, and you are free from the bodily conception. Although I have committed an offense by insulting you, I know that there is no loss or gain for you due to my insult. You are fixed in your determination. But I have committed an offense. Because of this, even though I may be as strong as Lord Shiva, I shall be vanquished without delay due to my offense. At the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, Mahārāja Rahūgaṇa was very intelligent and conscious of the inauspicious effects rising from insulting a Vaishnava. He was therefore very anxious to be excused by Jaḍa. Following in the footsteps of Mahārāja Rahūgaṇa, everyone should be very cautious not to commit an offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur in the Caitaniya Bhagavatam, Madhya 13 says, how do we say this? Shulapani sama yadi bhakta ninda kare
भागवत
Bhagavad
मरे.
Hele Vaishnaviri Ninde Sarva
Sarvajnai
Sajjanera Adha
Shastri
Shastri Kai.
Thank you. Even if one is as strong as Lord Shiva, who carries a trident in his hand, one will nonetheless fall down from his spiritual position if he tries to insult a Vaishnava. That is the verdict of all Vedic scriptures. He also says this in Caitanya Bhagavat, Madhya 22. So this we are hearing Caitanya Bhagavat, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, he is incarnation of Vyasadev. Vyasadev, he wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam. And in his incarnation as Vrindavan Das Thakur, he recorded the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya in Caitanya Bhagavat. So he says that all the Shastra says that if one offends a Vaishnava, one will fall down from the spiritual position. And he's saying something more. Vaishnavera ninda karibe kayar gana tara raksha samarthya nahika kona jana shulapani sama yadi Vaishnavare ninde tathapi anashayaya kahe shastra vrinde ihana maniya yesujana ninda kare janme janme se papishta deva doshe mare. One who blasphemes a Vaishnav cannot be protected by anyone. Even if a person is as strong as Lord Shiva, if he blasphemes a Vaishnav, he's sure to be destroyed. This is the verdict of all Shastras. If one does not care for the verdict of the Shastras and dares blaspheme a Vaishnav, he suffers life after life because of this. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 5th canto, 10th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled The Discussion Between Jaḍa and Mahārāja Rahūgaṇa. Chapter 11, Jaḍa instructs King Rahūgaṇa. In this chapter, the Brahmana Jaḍa instructs Mahārāja Rahūgaṇa in detail. He tells the king, "You are not very experienced, yet you pose yourself as a learned person because you are very proud of your knowledge. Actually, a person who's on the transcendental platform does not care for social behavior that sacrifices spiritual advancement. Social behavior comes within the jurisdiction of karmakand, material benefit. No one can spiritually advance by such activities. The conditioned soul is always overpowered by the modes of material nature, and consequently, he is simply concerned with material benefits and auspicious and inauspicious material things. In other words, the mind, which is the leader of the senses, is absorbed in material activities life after life. Thus, he continuously gets different types of bodies and suffers miserable material conditions. On the basis of mental concoction, social behavior has been formulated. If one's mind is absorbed in these activities, he certainly remains conditioned within the material world. According to different opinions, there are 11 or 12 mental activities which can be transformed into hundreds and thousands. A person who is not Krishna conscious is subjected to all these mental concoctions and is thus governed by the material energy. The living entity who is free from mental concoctions attains the platform of pure spirit soul, devoid of material contamination. So we can see how our mind, our thoughts, Krishna also keeps saying in the Bhagavad Gita, it's all the sense perception which is arising. The happiness and distress is due to sense perception. It's mental concoction, he says. But we are so attached to our mind. So there are two types of living entities, Jivatma and Paramatma, the individual soul and the Supreme Soul. That Supreme Soul, in his ultimate realization, is Lord Vasudeva, Krishna. He enters into everyone's heart and controls the living entity in his different activities. He is therefore the supreme shelter of all living entities. One can understand the Supreme Soul and one's position in relationship with Him when one is completely freed from the unwanted association of ordinary men. In this way, one can become fit to cross the ocean of nations. The cause of conditional life is attachment to the external energy. One has to conquer these mental concoctions. Unless one does so, he will never be freed from material anxieties. Although mental concoctions have no value, their influence is still very formidable. No one should neglect to control the mind. If one does, the mind becomes so powerful that one immediately forgets his real position, forgetting that he is an eternal servant of Krishna, and that service to Krishna is his only business. One is doomed by material nature to serve the objects of the senses. One should kill mental concoctions by the sword of service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His devotee, Guru Krishna Prasad Dipaya Bhakti Lata Bija. So here Bharat Maharaj is saying it's because of the mind that we get so attached to enjoying this material world, because we don't control it. And he's saying how we can control it? By engaging in devotional service and by serving the devotee. Even Maharaj Rishabdev said, Mahatsuevam Dwaram Ahur Vimuktes, that the doors of liberation open when one engages in service of the Mahatmas. So serving the devotee and serving the Supreme Lord will help us to control the mind, to revive our Krishna consciousness. So let's see how is this. Okay, maybe we can read one. Brahmana Uvacha.
Brahmana Uvacha.
Ako vida Vāda
Ako vid Vādan
Vadasi Athonati Vedam Varishtaha
Vadasi Athona Atividam Varishthaha
Rasuryo Hivyabaharam Enam
Na Suryaho hi Vyavaharamenam
Tatvavamarshena Saha Mananti.
Tatvaha Avamarshena Saha Amananti.
The Brahmana Jarbharat said, my dear king, although you are not at all experienced, you're trying to speak like a very experienced man. Consequently, you cannot be considered an experienced person. An experienced person does not speak the way you are speaking about the relationship between a master and a servant or about material pains and pleasures. These are simply external activities. Any advanced experienced man, considering the absolute truth, does not talk in this way. So Krishna also reminds me that Krishna also, when he's speaking the Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna stops speaking, he gives so much. Arjuna speaks so much, then finally he tells Krishna, I surrender unto you. I'm a soul surrendered to you. I accept you as my spiritual master. So Krishna, first thing he says, that while speaking learned words, you're just pretending that you're learned. You're just speaking learned words. And so same here, Bharat Maharaj is telling to King Rahūgaṇa. Here Prabhupada is saying, Krishna similarly chastised Arjuna, Ashochayan Anvashochaswam Pragyavadamscha Bhashase. While speaking learned words, you are lamenting for what is not worthy of grief. Bhagavad Gita 2.11. Similarly, among people in general, 99.9% try to talk like experienced advisors, but they are actually devoid of spiritual knowledge and are therefore like inexperienced children speaking nonsensically. Consequently, their words cannot be given any importance. One has to learn from Krishna or his devotee. If one speaks on the basis of this experience, that is, On the basis of spiritual knowledge, one's words are valuable. At the present moment, the entire world is full of foolish people. Bhagavad describes these people as mudas. They are trying to rule human society, but because they are devoid of spiritual knowledge, the entire world is in a chaotic condition. To be released from these miserable conditions, one has to become Krishna conscious and take lessons from an exalted personality like Jaḍa, Lord Krishna, and Kapila-dev. That is the only way to solve the problems of material life. So we may seem to be wise, but really we'll become wise when we speak from Bhagavad Gita. So this is what, and we'll continue tomorrow. Did anyone want to add anything? Comment anything?
Yeah, in Bhagavad Gita, how Arjuna was just going on talking, and Krishna was just listening, and then finally he gave a smile and then he replied to him, right?
Yeah. And the first thing Krishna tells him, oh, you're speaking learned words, but you know, you're not speaking actually proper things. You're lamenting what is not worthy of grief. So same here, Bharat is also chastising Rahūgaṇa that you're talking. You're thinking you're very learned, but you're very attached. Yeah. So Krishna also starts speaking to Arjuna only after Arjuna tells Krishna that I accept you as my spiritual master. I'm your disciple. Right? You instruct me. Only then Krishna starts speaking. You know, we like to give advice to everyone, even without they asking. And that's what gets us in trouble. We get into trouble by that because the person is not looking for any advice, and we try to advise them.
We don't give the chance to the other person to talk. We only will just true. No. Yeah. And such an important thing, the world is devoid of spiritual knowledge, and this is why it is chaotic. Very true. There are no teachings from the Bhagavad Gita, nothing, and this is what is happening now.
Yeah, so true. The wars and all the exploitation
Wars,
that
it's just
happens
power.
of this.
Yeah.
Oh, currently, we are having this protest. Panama is almost like kind of a lockdown.
Lockdown, yeah, I know. The schools are closed, right? Everything is.
The schools are closed. The teachers are on strike, and there's demonstrations. Yeah, so many teachers are on strike. They joined the protest.
Protest, huh? Okay.
Yeah. So, but it's all, as you rightly pointed out, devoid of spiritual knowledge. We don't have this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, and that's why we behave like inexperienced children. That's what we end up doing. Stop here. Thank you so much for listening and enjoying it.
Krishna, Shilpa ji.
Yes.